Hello, and welcome to the Yes, I Can Living podcast and TV cast. I am so excited to be here with Stella Reed today. I'm Kathy Alessandra, the Yes, I Can coach and the publisher of Yes, I Can Living magazine. Before we get started today, I just want to make sure that you have subscribed to the latest issue. We are sending out a complimentary issue right now, yesicanliving.com, and you can get that print edition you can hold in your hands. We've got all kinds of great articles, and then be sure to visit our website. We've got podcasts and articles and posts and experts who are sharing with you so that you can really step into living that Yes, I Can life for you. So today we have Nanny Stella Reed. Over her 30 years in the childcare industry, Nanny Stella has helped families all over the world live a more peaceful life at home. You may be familiar with Nanny Stella from her work on the hit television show Nanny 911 and one of her many books she's written. You may not know that Nanny Stella is a real-life British nanny and dedicated parent coach who is eager to help families thrive. She's always looking to help train and develop nannies to reach their full potential with the goal of helping make perfect nanny family placements possible. After becoming a parent herself, Nanny Stella is more determined than ever to make a meaningful difference as a parent coach, as she now understands some of the struggles parents faced firsthand. Whether Nanny Stella is working with a celebrity client or a regular family, her solutions-based approach is accredited and proven. Her non-judgmental, no-nonsense style means she helps family develop a plan to achieve their goals and then helps them stay the course with the ultimate goal of helping families live happy and peaceful lives. So, Stella, welcome to the call.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks for having me. So excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. We've got lots to talk about. So we're going to dive right in. So let's talk a little bit first, for people to get a little bit, more information about you and who you are and even the Nanny 911. Tell me a little bit about how you started your business, how you got to this place today.
Okay. First of all, let me say congratulations on your new magazine.
Oh, thank you.
How did I get to this place today? So people ask me that, why did you start a business? But I didn't really have much choice. It sort of drove me. I've always been what you would call entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
From a very young age, I was selling at you guys call it garage sale. I call it garage sale now because I live here. But we called it a jumble sale. So I had this table outside my grandmother's house with all these, wears and tears on. And I sold them to raise money for the youth theatre that I was in. So there was always something going on. I'm one of those people that gets attracted by nice, shiny objects. So having a business was a nice, shiny object.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with its trials and tribulations, but I didn't have a choice. It chose me. I started it officially in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually on the show at the time and, did the whole official thing of creating a corporation, doing all that good legal stuff. And here we are now, 14 years later, and I've still got it, just by the skin of my teeth some days, but I've got it.
So much fun. No, you are well known and loved by many, and you've created quite a brand, and being on the television show and all the books that you've written, a number of books, right, and everything that's going along with that. So as you've come along in the last number of years since that, what has been some of your biggest challenges and how have you overcome them?
Biggest challenges of being a small business owner, working mom entrepreneur, whatever label you want to give it. I think the biggest challenge, which I'm still, working on and evolving through, is being by yourself. It can be pretty isolating. I used to class myself as a one-woman show, but I have a team that help me. Prior to having the team, who I don't want to live without, let me be clear. Prior to having the team, I would outsource and have people, come on, simple things that aren't simple, but like having a bookkeeper or a tax person, things now that are my Achilles heel, like social media. There's a lot to be done, especially in this current world. And I think the biggest challenge for me was not having a team and creating a team. I tried quite a few times. And there's something about me. I'm a connector and I'm creative, and I have really great ideas for people, so somebody will come along and they'll be helping me out, but I'll know they're passionate about something else. So then I talk them into going off and doing something by themselves, which leaves me in the wind. But that's okay. I think you're meant to be where you're meant to be with who you're meant to be at exactly these moments in time.
Right. Absolutely. So let me take it one step further on that. How long into your entrepreneurial journey did it take you to realize and accept the idea that you needed help and to bring in some people? I mean, so many of us try to do, the one woman show thing, right? We try to hold on, and it's really stepping into it and honing in and focusing on your area of brilliance, which is the child or the family unit, right? Not the bookkeeping or the marketing or whatever. So how long did it take you into your business to get clear that you needed to bring in, not necessarily staff, whether it was virtual or whatever, and give yourself permission to do that?
If I'm being really uncomfortably candid, way longer than it should have done.
Mm-hmm.
I would say about 5 or 6 years. And I'm still fine tuning it now. I'm still, people, it ebbs and flows, doesn't it? You might have started out with this accountant and then you've changed to this accountant. But I would say the last 5 years, it's been a lot more solid. But if that was one of those questions, like, what would what would this version of yourself tell the younger version of yourself? It would be get support. Even if that's, I'm a firm believer in family and family businesses. I try to enroll everybody. At one point, for many years, my mum was, sitting in her little house going through all my receipts for tax time. I think whatever that support looks like to you, try and get it as early on as you possibly can. But I think the trick for an entrepreneur is actually letting go of the reins and actually identifying what your strengths and your weaknesses are, because you ultimately think you can do it all, and you start out doing it all. But, I appreciate what you said is my time is not best spent doing the bookkeeping. Somebody else's, I can bookkeep, don't get me wrong. I have a little piece of paper says that I've done some accounting course, but my time is not best spent doing that. And somebody else is much better at it and more proficient, and, it's more time and cost effective. But I think it's really just sitting down and honing in, hey, what am I good at? What am I best doing? And then even just outsourcing, virtual assistants, whatever that looks like, whether it's a friend or an intern or a family member. Get some support.
Yes. Well, that is one of my questions. What would your current self tell your younger self? So that's a good, and that's an important one. I think there are so many entrepreneurs who begin a business and they try to do everything. And even myself included, 25 years ago, right? I juggle all the balls. And the fact is it was much more efficient for me to be on the phone, talking with an advertiser or working with something, or even now coaching, right? And have somebody else doing that area, bookkeeping. See, I don't have that piece of paper, the bookkeeping. Oh my gosh. I'm a mess when it comes to the number piece. I can read my P&L, and I do. Yeah. But hiring support in areas that are not your area of brilliance, that's a critical piece and a great tip. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Yeah, and you're not alone in that. So one of the things you had talked about, when I asked about challenges, was the fact that you're kind of isolated as an entrepreneur. So let's take that a step further, because you've talked a lot recently about isolation schooling. We are in a time like none of us have experienced in this world. And right now, while we're recording this, in October of 2020, kids, for the most part, are still learning from home, certainly in the Los Angeles area and in other parts of the country as well. And it has left very much an isolation piece in that. And you've talked a lot about that and written some about that. Would you like to share a little bit, with our audience a little bit more about that, as Nanny Stella and as a mom, and how you're coping and dealing with that?
I'd love to share. I'm kind of a dog with a bone. Not that we're going to any parties at the moment, but if I was out socializing with somebody right now and they wanted to talk to me about homeschooling, I might jump down their throat with, no, it's not homeschooling. It's definitely virtual schooling. We've got Zoom going on, and these all these wonderful apps and different ways of connecting. But my when I think of homeschooling, I think of kind of excitement and enjoyment, and people really want to do that. They've made a conscious choice for whatever reason to homeschool their children, whether that be themselves or they've hired a homeschool teacher. I just don't feel that way about the situation we're in with what I've labeled isolation schooling. I feel that was forced on us, not, nobody to blame, circumstantial. We're all going through it the world over. But full disclosure, this is not my forte. Being at home and doing the schooling piece. I have a 9-year-old, and I get frustrated in the fact that I feel I'm having to supervise him more than he's ever been supervised in school. There's a lot of distractions. So I do have sort of, tips and tricks out there. I've made a video talking about isolation schooling, and I've put out a PDF on social media about, some tips and tricks. Just my biggest piece is that support piece. And I've sort of mastered this a little bit with my friend. I hope she doesn't mind throwing her in here. My friend Teresa, and she's the mother of Joseph. And what we do is 2 days a week, we trade off. So for example, on a Monday, it can change, but on a Monday, Mason would go to Joseph's, and on a Wednesday, Joseph would come here. That's been great in the fact that, don't get me wrong, they can squabble and they can be noisy and they can still get distracted, but also they can also be really great for each other and help each other. So they're supporting each other. But it also, particularly because I am still running a business, that gives me a day now where I know I can really get things done without interruption. I don't want my son to be nervous or hesitant to come and ask for help when he needs it. But I also do need that mental wealth day where I know I can go, to work or get a cup of coffee and sit quietly. It's usually a cup of tea with me, but I'm going off at a tangent. But that piece for me, the support system within the parenting sphere for me has been really, really valuable.
Right. That's a great tip. I mean, I think there's a number of women, whether they're a mompreneur or not, who are working from home and trying to juggle this piece, right? And how do you keep an eye on your kids and make sure they're getting what they need, but then you've got a job to hold down to pay the bills, or to, you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to grow, right?
Yeah.
So is there other than, I love the idea of switching families, right? You've got a safe family and you're doing that with, and so each of you get that time. Anything else that you would suggest, particularly for a mompreneur, somebody who's got her own business and trying to grow it and take that time? Blocking it certainly is an important one.
I was actually thinking, just to throw out a blanket statement there about everybody in particular, about, parenting in general. And I talk about this a lot when I'm coaching parents. You've got to do what works for you, not what works for your mom, not what works for your neighbor, and not necessarily what works for your partner who might be going out of the home working. One of the things, for example, one of my friends, working mom. Look, we're all working moms. I don't want to give the impression that I'm mom shaming anyway, people that don't actually have a job. Being a mom is a full-time job. But I mean, in addition to being a mom, a friend of mine just took a leave of absence from her position because she's isolation schooling 3 children, right? Somebody else might not be in a financial position to do that. I don't know that she's actually in a financial position to do that. But what she weighed up was that for everybody's benefit, mental wealth, again, the sanctity of, the spirit of her family, that she's taken a leave of absence from her job. So I think even for myself, some of my situation I've pulled back from, at the very beginning of this, when I was matching nannies, I actually stopped matching nannies and actually hit pause. I've come back on it now because I've got a rhythm going where I am able to accommodate, my family life as well as my working business life. So I think really sort of take a step back and assess what's going to work for you. Do not beat yourself with twigs, any of us, give ourselves a pat on the back. But as far as tips at home, finding a space if you can. I saw something on social media a few weeks ago that actually broke my heart. I think it actually ended up being wonderful. But I saw 2 young girls sitting outside Taco Bell to access Wi-Fi to do their schoolwork. I mean, I'm not saying people have to go to those lengths if you don't have to, but you've got to do what works for you. So creating a space, obviously at home, an area where your child, I don't want them to be isolated in a negative way. At one point we put this Amazon box around Mason to kind of, they're like privacy pods in offices. We put this thing around him one day to really just hone in on focusing, and not being distracted by what's going on outside the window.
Right.
Having breaks. Also, I've done things that I was able to do where in an afternoon one day I said to him, do you want to go to the beach? And we just went. That wasn't on the agenda, right? Not everybody's as blessed to live as close to the beach as I do, but even if it's just getting up and going for a walk, or I know now the parks are opening, just doing something to take yourself away from that computer and that screen time, and maybe shake off some of that I call it fidgety, Other people I know have put back those pedal cycle things under the table. I know these are sounding like crazy things, but again, if that's working for them, absolutely do it, but definitely getting up, taking a break, shaking things off, coming back to it. One of the things that we're getting better at now is planning out lunch and planning out snacks, so that when you have your break, you can go get it, so that then I'm not in there making lunch and making snacks. He can grab something, an apple, packet of chips, string cheese. It really is forward planning, like anything we do. It's setting yourself up for success. If you do these little things, they're going to help you in the long run.
Right. That makes total sense. There's a woman I follow in Texas. I love her to death. She's on one of our podcasts too, Pam Owens, and she has the cafeteria, and she does pictures of it every morning, right? It's the cafeteria, it's just like a buffet in her home, right? Where the cafeteria is set up, and this is what's for lunch, right? Or for breakfast. And she's got a chalkboard with a message on it each day that I love, that to her kids. And her kids are a little bit older than yours. But having that, that was what she was saying too, having that thing, so it's, you're not being interrupted. They've got something they can go do. But I love also this idea that, it doesn't always have to be planned out. And if you sense that your child is really struggling or needing to get up, or if mom is losing her mind, right? Going to the beach or going for a walk or going to the park, that's okay, that we need to,
Absolutely. I mean, if I could give, if just one person can have a takeaway from this today, or whenever this, is out there, is just give yourself permission. Like, if you're looking for permission right now to take a break, I'm giving it you. If it needs me to give it to you, I'm giving it to you. Because definitely in that week, when I said about taking the break to go to the beach, we took 2. I don't recall why that was a tough week, but it was a tough week. And I identified that he and I needed that. Quite frankly, it didn't cost a lot of money. It cost the parking at the beach. I took a chair, he took his board, and it really blew off the cobwebs. We came back refreshed. And maybe sleep as well. And also, I know everybody's talking about, gaining weight during these times, planning those snacks as well. We can do that for ourselves, not just our kids, plenty of water, trying to get as much sleep as you possibly can. Hey, heck, if you need a nap, take a nap.
Right.
Do what you need to do for you to recalibrate.
Right. Well, that speaks to that whole piece about, if you don't pour into yourself, how are you going to pour into your kids and be there and strong? Because it's a stressful time for
It
sure.
is. It is.
What would you suggest? Just one more question I have for you on the as Nanny Stella.
Yes.
I've heard from parents, their kids are really acting out more, and I think there's got to be so much stress on them that we don't really necessarily see, but it comes out in other ways. So is there anything else besides, taking a break or going to the park or something that you would suggest in helping them work through this isolation schooling on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, definitely giving them some praise and some positive reinforcement, because we're all guilty of this, myself included. We're getting frustrated, we're getting tired, and then you hone in on the fact that they've done something wrong. Maybe they haven't turned in a piece of work, maybe they didn't go into the breakout room. I mean, everybody's schooling is looking very different right now, but how about just checking in and saying, hey, you had a good morning, thank you. It really helped me a lot that you were present, and you weren't disruptive, and I was able to get things done. And maybe it's that sort of unspoken reward system of, hey, because we were able to get that done today and we have a good day, we've had a good day, we can go off and do something. We can take a break, we can go grab an ice cream cone, whatever that looks like. But definitely some praise, because I don't think that kids are getting enough credit. It's really pertinent that you've asked that, because I'm sort of working on that in my head for my next newsletter. But they're not getting, nobody's really giving them any kudos. I mean, let's face it, my son was literally scooped up on March 13th on a Friday afternoon, and basically, apart from a little small pod, hasn't been to school, hasn't seen his friends, hasn't hung out with his teacher, hasn't run around the yard. I mean, how would it's like this is going to sound a little bit alarmist, but to me, some of this, it's like a version of kidnapping. You've been scooped up and you've been plonked at home. And look, I'm not being ungrateful. I mean, our ancestors lived through war. I mean, I think about the Diary of Anne Frank, and I don't know how on God's earth people coped, but I don't think they're getting enough recognition for living through this as kids.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that's really kids of all ages too. I mean, the younger ones who are in school, those who are seniors in high school, and how that's, affecting them, or college. I mean, and just what that's going to, especially for the younger ones, what that's going to do for them socially as, as we get further along here, having this year of isolation. And I mean, fact is, it probably will be close to a year by the time that they're back in the classroom and all that kind of stuff.
I know that makes my eyes pop out of my head.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I agree, definitely. Unfortunately, I agree.
Yeah. The vaccine. Okay. Well, for those who believe in that. So let me go back to business a little bit, and how things are working. How would you define success?
Oh, I love this question. I think I think it's bigger than business for me. It goes to life in general. At one point, it used to be a very big financial component. It's not. I mean, finances are very important. Don't get me wrong, but success for me is really today being a better version of who I was. Tomorrow being a better version of who I was today. So even that's my life and my business. I want to be improving all the time. So that's what success looks like for me. Being a better version of myself tomorrow than I was today.
And do you think that would, being that you're a parent coach, would you say that would be your definition too as a parent?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, it's having your goals. At one point it was like achieving your goals. Well, we should have goals as parents. I say all the time, we spend so much time thinking about the car we're going to drive or the vacation we're going to take, but we really don't think about what kind of parent we're going to be, what role we're going to play. So I say to parents that don't really know that, like, hit pause, take a breather, and think about that. What you want to see yourself as a parent. Yeah, absolutely. As a parent, be a better version of parent tomorrow than you were today.
Well, on that same token, then let's do a little bit into, because you sent an email out recently about mental wealth, right? And so being a better parent tomorrow is going to need to incorporate taking care of oneself as a parent,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Do you want to touch a little bit on this whole idea of mental wealth, mental health, and how we can really, I mean, yes, take a walk or whatever, but what is that component for self-care that can make such a difference for a mom?
I've got a funny story to throw in here, and I won't tell you the family member, but I went to relationship counseling many years ago. I went to counseling, and I was having a fight with a family member, and they said to me, "You need to go back. It didn't work the first time." They shall remain nameless. But when I was growing up, nobody talked about mental health. They didn't. It was a taboo subject. We go to the doctors for coughs and colds, and obviously we go to the doctors during these times. But it was kind of like frowned upon if people had per se issues. There was a when I think about it now, it was a joke then, but it's now to me it's offensive that somebody was a loony or they went to the loony bin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think mental health and that extra step, that mental wealth, that preparation to really take care of yourself is so paramount now. I think it's your mental health to me is even, it surpasses your physical health, because you don't see it like you see the aches and pains and the ailments of being physically sick.
Right.
So yeah, I invite people to prepare for that. And my sort of my little tip is that I want myself and I use a cup of tea. I want people to give from the overflow, right? You can take from, I've taken such good care of myself and I'm in such a really good spot. Here, have, you know what I mean? I can help you. I can do this. We can do that. But when you're taking from something that's depleted, you're depleting me even more, and I'm not really being of service to you. And I think as parents, there's you read articles about this all the time. There's a reason they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first on the airplane, because then you can take care of those around you. And especially for parents and moms, self-care and mental wealth, which for me is planning. It's like taking care of yourself, being in control, mapping things out, and also having fun. Mums, I don't see mums having a lot of fun prior to this. They're really taking care of everybody else and not themselves. So for me, it's give from the overflow, don't take from being depleted.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's an important piece of Yes I Can Living, right? It's one of the pillars, the 3 foundational pillars of it is self-care.
Yeah.
And self-care is not selfish.
But I think that's how indirectly and maybe not deliberately, that's what we've been programmed to believe. And I think when you think of self-care, people think of like getting your nails done or getting a massage or it doesn't have, it's not that, it's taking care of yourself so that you can take care of your family. And taking care of your relationship with your partner, not just about your kids.
Right. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think also that because I really do believe that we are role models, we're also sending a message to our children that we are important.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think it's whether it's time in the morning by yourself or journaling or having that cup of tea, like you were talking about, right, whether you get up early before the kids are up, or whether your significant other or your partner is watching the kids on a weekend so that or at least a Saturday, so that you can go do whatever it is that fills your soul.
Yeah,
I think that's an important piece, a super important piece. Like you said, you can't yeah,
let me throw myself under the bus here. I'm still a work in progress myself. This from me working with you. One of the things that I want to be accountable for is blocking off that time in a morning for me. to have a cup of tea, to read a book, to journal, you know, even if it's 4 words about gratitude, to start your day in that way, that's what you're presenting to your family, you know, especially to my son, he's 9. But I've been guilty of getting up and opening my phone, you know, it's not even my computer, my phone, because that's where everything comes to, reading my emails, looking at social media, and then sometimes that sets the tone for my morning with him, because sometimes I'm already really wound up.
Right.
I've had an email that's tweaked me and set me off, which I don't want to come from that place. I don't want to be that reactive. I want to have my time with myself. I want to have my time with him, and then I want to go into my day. So, you know, blocking time off for yourself. I sort of have this standing joke with people, but it's not a joke. You know, I block time off now for myself, that when somebody asks me, are you available? I actually say, I have an appointment. I don't tell them it's with myself.
Right.
Quite frankly, not being rude, it's none of their business.
Yes, exactly.
I have an appointment that I may be able to move, or I may not be able to move. That's to my discretion.
Right.
You know, but again, we put in our calendars the soccer, and we put in our calendars the volleyball, and we put in our calendars the dance, you know, for our kids. But do we put in the calendar that cup of tea or cup of coffee or that 30 minutes for ourselves? I know zillions of people that don't.
Yeah.
So
I think on average, most don't, unfortunately. And then we suffer. As mothers, we suffer for sure.
Absolutely.
So if somebody wants to connect with you, they want to get more information from Nanny Stella and all that, where would they go to do that?
The easiest place to find me is at nannystella.com. They can email me there. That comes directly to me. And then the social media, and being the momnesia brain I am, I can't even tell you my handles right now. But you'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me on Twitter, even though I have a love-hate relationship with all those places. The easiest place to find me is at nannystella.com.
Awesome. Wonderful. And I know on your social media, you do give tips and all that kind of stuff. So, and I believe it's Nanny Stella is the handle on Instagram.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Nanny Stella.
Yeah. Check it out, and all the posts that are going on. Awesome. Well, let me just ask you one final question that I ask everyone who comes on our show.
Take a drink of water for this one.
Yeah, so yeah, right. Prepare yourself here. What makes you a yes, I can woman?
Being tenacious, having tenacity. I'm like a dog with a bone. If I say I'm going to do something, it doesn't matter how long it's going to take me, I am going to do it. If I say I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book. If I say I'm going to create a podcast, I'm going to create a podcast. And I have a joke, you know, that there's, you know, somebody might put a roadblock in front of me. Let's call it a wall. Not to put any connotation on any walls being built by anybody at the moment in the world, but I might not have the physical stamina to get under the wall, but I will tunnel underneath the wall, or I will find a way to knock the wall down.
Yeah.
Tenacity for me is the yes, I can.
I love it. I love it. And you are tenacious indeed. Awesome. Well, Nanny Stella, thank you so much for joining us on today's show. I hope that you will connect with her at nannystella.com or on one of her many social media platforms. Lots of great tips and resources. And thank you for the permission for the self-care and taking care of ourselves, and really, you know, honing in on that, especially during this time.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, Stella, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And for everybody who's listening, we will see you next time on Yes, I Can Living. Again, don't forget to hop on over to our site, yesicanliving.com. Until then, have a wonderful day and enjoy living your Yes, I Can life. Bye-bye.